Living and investing in Bryan-College Station. What is going on, lovely people? I am excited because I'm here with you. And on this Cash Flow Friday, I got a little treat for you. So, one of the things Cash Flow Friday represents for me is a reminder of what are the things that we need to do to get ourselves in a position to have our passive income exceed our expenses. And so I come to you on Fridays just to be able to remind you and encourage you of that. What is the mindset that we need to be able to shift ourselves? So, living and investing Brian conversation, I got a little sneak peek. I've been working on things for you. So, let me get this tuned up for you.
Money is a mindset thing, but it also is a spiritual thing. I want you guys to think about this, and I want you to go study. Where did we start focusing on lack? Lack, Lack. So I want you to go study for yourself, but there was always more than enough for us. And I believe the enemy has allowed us to believe that we can only have just enough. And God made it very clear that you have more than enough. So it's a couple things that you have to think about if you want to start building a legacy through real estate, which all of us want to do, but oftentimes we have humps that we have to get over. And the humps that we have to get over is start understanding what are the lies and the false beliefs we have about money. Why, as realtors, do we not own the very thing that we sell? Because we believe it's only enough for the people we're selling it to, but it's not good enough for us. Now, we may not say that out loud, but subconsciously we're saying that somewhere in our own minds. So often we're focusing on how do you do this? How do you do that? When you commit and understand why you're doing something, everything else is going to fall in place.
Ooh, let me get you back. Let me get you back. Let's go. So, one of the things I'm passionate about is learning how to teach realtors how to own the very thing that you sell. So, even if you're someone who wants to buy an investment or you're someone who wants to just buy your first home, this is for you because with the things that I'm going to continue to talk about is just bring to you today four things that I believe we all have to go through when it comes to just educating ourselves and teaching ourselves like what does it take for me to really actually start investing, because I get a lot of people, whether it's on our buyer sides for the real estate sales, and people just want to understand like how do I purchase something. And then you get these investors, sometimes they're first time investors, sometimes they're experienced investors, but they just need help to continue to, hey, I need to understand like how do I purchase this and what are the things I look at. All right, so we're gonna talk about four things. All right, so let me go over here. So I got my little board up today. So I want you guys to think of, let me bring you back over here. So I want you guys to think of, you ever heard of the four learning stages? Because what I've learned, I was on a coaching call this past week, and I realized when it comes to how we learn things, there's certain stages that we have to understand that we go through. And if we can at least understand like how we go from what is called the very base, it's really the unconscious competent stage, and get to the unconscious competent stage when it comes to anything that we want to do, it specifically when it comes to real estate, then we can be able to go a lot more further. So I'm gonna put this on the board so I can be able to help give you all a visual to understand where I'm coming from. All right. So talk about the four things. So unconscious, now bear with me, incompetent. So this is, I'm abbreviate, for most of you guys, this is a level of ignorance. Oh, mess that up. All right, so this is a level of ignorance, right? So incompetent, unconscious competence. So think about this. This is like us saying, all right, I want to be able to purchase something. I want to be able to buy a home, but or I want to invest. But you don't even know the knowledge. You don't even understand how it works. And this is where you have to be careful because you see things online and you see these people who make great videos. But sometimes when you click into the information, you realize it's just a lot of bluffing. You got to pay for all this stuff just to even get maybe some of the information. But you're just at this stage where you're unaware of the next step. And even when you purchase a home, you say, hey, I want to buy a home. I want to buy an investment. But you don't even understand like what's the next step. You're so ignorant to the fact like you're scared. And this is can be a dangerous space for you to be in, because let's talk about fear for a second. When we are ignorant to a topic or to a subject, what often happens is we don't do anything. And when someone bring it up, we kind of deflect it or we don't want to talk about it. And when you stay at this state and when you stay at this stage and you protect yourself with that fear, when people bring it up, you're like, yeah, that's just not for me. Yeah, I don't want to be able to do that. So I want you to get out of that ignorant stage and get to the next one. So what's the next one you say? All right. Well, the next one is the conscious. Make sure I'm spelling this right for y'all that get on me sometimes, because I know I ain't the best speller, but my heart in the right place. Conscious, competent. So now I'm abbreviating everything. I am aware. So now I am aware of what it's going to take for me to be able to get to a better, like I got a little lot of knowledge, right? If I attend a first time home buyer seminar that I send to all my clients, or if I wanted to invest, and that's why we do Cash Flow Friday. Literally, it's a form of education where I've entered the game and say I'm committed, I'm willing to learn, I really understand. And this stage you also have to be careful of, because a lot of people can be stuck here. This is where we get into this analysis paralysis. You ever see somebody who know everything but haven't taken the steps, haven't really done it, as we talk about be, do, have. Like, you want to be a certain person, but therefore you got to do certain things in order to get to that point. So the conscious and competent is the person who is aware of what they want and they start learning about it. They're aware of their lack of not knowing, right? And so it's basically saying, I now need to understand and educate myself to further navigate. And that's literally what I want you guys to understand. I've been gracious enough to continue to put out videos on our YouTube page. So if you're someone who want to invest or who want to be able to buy, go to the YouTube page. I have over 100 videos that I've posted to continue to show you not only the different houses, the different investment strategies, but it's just the mindset that it takes to be able to get into this and do it well. Living and investing in Bryan-College Station. You can go see that for yourself. And most of you guys are probably on YouTube right now. But you have to realize that, all right, if I want to go from ignorance and I want to go from awareness, then what do I do next? All right, well, let's go to the second stage and let's go to the conscious, competent. Competent. So now we're at that stage of we're actually learning. So when you're actually learning, what does that mean? That means you now got to a point where you start fully embracing by reading books. You're attending workshops. You're actually doing meetings, or you're going through and you're looking at a lot of YouTube videos. Because let's face it, for those of you who are probably visual and auditory learners, either you're going to go binge on different videos online on YouTube to further understand strategies. Like I've met a lot of great younger investors here in the Bryan-College Station area. And I say, so how did you learn about investing in like all these private money strategies and creative financing? And what did they say? They just made it real simple. They said, man, when it comes to that, we just went online. And you will be amazed at when you actually commit, because it's a mental thing. You say, I'm willing to commit and do the work because I want a certain results. And at this time, you probably identified a goal. And of course, we always talk about like kind of what Stephen Covey talking about, like start with the end in mind. What is your goal and what are you aiming for? And how often are you looking at it so that you can be reminded of how to do so? So one of the things I want to continue to educate people through all my YouTube channel is getting to 1,000 subscribers and then beyond that. But when I realize that I can do this well and I can hold your attention and I can continue to show you how, if you stick to this type of learning when it comes to real estate, not only you can get to the stage, you know, okay, great, where we at, that's nothing, right? You can continue to exceed so much more, but it start with these levels. And when you commit to it and you're willing to move forward, I promise you, you get so much further. And then we have the last stage. What is the last stage? We have the unconscious competent. Now, I know my handwriting is not great, but let's look at it this way. This is when you get to a form of mastery. This is when you get to a form of saying, all right, I've gotten to this point where I've done it. I failed at it. I've actually got so involved with it that I've done the steps. I now own the real estate. I've now owned some of the experiences. And here's what I've learned: when you get to a level of mastery, then it's things that you have to continue to do to stay there and to continue to elevate. And part of this goes to you willing to put yourself around the right people and environment that's going to help you understand what are you doing wrong in your thinking and what are you doing wrong in your how you analyze a property. So one of the things that I always do when we look at properties, I always use Rent-A-Meter. Rent-A-Meter is one of the ways I can at least see what's the rents in this area, and then I see, all right, what's the interest rate? People say the interest rates are high. Why would I buy? You come pay Cash Flow Friday, I will show you why you should buy right now, and why we bought in a high market. This house that we're sitting in right now, 8% interest rate, so 8.5 actually, and here is the form of mastery that you can only start to understand things when you have done enough and say, I need to continue to elevate. Now that's when you start sitting in the room with people who are committed to their goals. You start sitting in the room with people who've actually done the work. You start understanding that, all right, if I want to do this at a high level, I need to not only own the mistakes I've done, but not only learn from them, but continue to move forward. So these 4 steps, when it even comes to purchasing a home, like you now own your home. Now you're going to the second home, to the third home, to the fourth home. Because I always tell people, like, when you're a first-time home buyer, I promise you, this is not going to be your only house, because you're going to outgrow it. You're going to realize, man, I didn't think about this. And there's a level of commitment that you have to get to when you say, all right, not only am I going to do this, and I'm going to do this at a high level, but I'm willing to understand. So here, you say the unconscious competent. I'm at an ignorant state. Don't stay here. Because when you stay here, this is what keeps you stuck. This is the people, oftentimes, I'm just be honest, it's kind of hard for me to reach. Because when you've gotten to a level of mastery and you realize what it has taken for you to be able to get to that next steps and doing the things that's going to get you to what you want to have, it is so hard to be able to reach those people who are still at an ignorant stage, because it's hard for me to have a conversation. It's hard for me to be able to help them understand what I'm coming from. And this is why I always come to these points to say, all right, look, you have to see that you're an unconscious, incompetent person. And you're at this point where you are ignorant to the point of even what I'm saying. And when you don't understand what I'm saying or why I'm saying or why my frustration is, oftentimes it's not, when it comes to that topic, it's not valuable for me to be able to come to you and just talk to you about certain things. Now, doesn't make me better than you, but in this topic, I have achieved a form of mastery, and it's so hard for me to. Let me give you this example. Often people say, Jabari, can you give me the strategy that you use to be able to invest in property? I said, sure, it's not a problem. So one of the first methods that we use is a zero down method. So I'll put it on the board for you guys. And I'm going to go right over here, slide it over, and put it over here. So say, for instance, I saw a property. Now, let's say it was $100,000. And let's say this was an offer on a property. And the offer on that property, say I put in $100,000, but it need $50,000 of work. Okay. So my total cost is going to be $150,000. So let's say total cost. Now, the bank is always going to say they're never going to give you 100% of your loan. It's always going to be 85%, which is your loan to value. So what do you do with that? So oftentimes banks say it's anywhere from 75% or 85% loan to value. All right. So oftentimes I always go with the 85% with the relationships that we've built. So I'll say 85%. And so what's that? Let me do my math over here real quick. 150, 123, gonna be times 85% times 0.85. So it's 127. So 127, 500. Now, this is what my P&I gonna be based off of. So my principal and interest. This is why I gotta see if this makes sense. And then that's why I go find the rents. Then I go find my reserve. I've explained this before. And I gotta find my mortgage. And then so next, when I get that, I need to subtract my offer because the bank is only gonna finance 127,500,000. So that means if the bank is gonna finance that, I gotta take in $100,000. So there's a difference of 27,500. This is my offer. And that's what the bank is going to allow me. That's what the bank is going to allow me to be able to have to make the repairs for the house. Now, show somebody that equation. And if you're on, you can definitely ask questions. Please do. But when you see that, it's a few things that you say. You say, well, how can I, like, where does this money come from? Right? It's a good question. But I've seen people faces and they couldn't even grasp what I was saying. Because there's so many definitions I've thrown out there when it comes to offer. It comes to construction costs. That means I have to have a group of people that's going to come out. It's going to evaluate my properties. Then from there, I get my total cost, 85%. Do I have a bank who's going to give me 85%? Is it going to be 75%? Loan to value. I have to understand what that means. And then, all right, then how do I calculate my payment? The 127,500. How do I know what my payment's going to be? How do I know it's going to cash flow? This literally is the point where you realize that this deal is going to cash flow or not because you're making repairs on the house. Because that $50,000 was the improvement cost that you said that you were going to commit to. And so when you get to the 127,500 minus the offer, the bank is only going to give you 127,500. So if 100,000 of that is the offer, then 27,000 is what the bank's going to give me back to be able to make the repairs. And I would see people get stuck because in their mind, they don't even understand, like, how can I make this work? How is this possible? And the reality is this, is when you are willing to do the necessary work and commit to understanding that there are creative ways, but you have to move from these stages, from ignorance to aware to learning, from learning to mastery. And when you go through those necessary stages and commit to it, then guess what happens? Then at that point, you've gotten to a point where you understand what I'm talking about, but you're now taking action. So listen, I appreciate you guys for just rocking with me. And I appreciate you for just listening in. And I hope as you either say I'm ready to buy a home or ready to buy an investment property, I hope that you can analyze and just look back and say, where am I at? Am I completely ignorant? Which is mean I have to escape maybe my fears that comes around, like what's on the other side. Because all it is just making yourself more aware of what you don't know. Because from there, you go to learning, you start reading books, you start attending, you start coming to Cash Flow Friday, and you start attending. So, and if you're someone who wants to be able to join me as I teach the game and help you understand, like, how do I make better decisions? This benefits you whether you're buying a home or whether you're buying your first investment. The link is below where you can be able to join me and make sure you are with the rest of the crew. But Here is, then you can have mastery. Mastery is a level of you committing so much that you understand not only this, but you've done it. And then my job is to help you continue to master more tactics that's going to help you get more properties. Because I promise you, no one wins in this game of life unless you're willing to go through those stages. But the reality is this: if you stay here, this is all you're going to get. This is all you're going to get right here. And when you become aware and you realize, man, like this is when you hear the news and people start saying like, you don't have that much, the black household have a net worth of so much. Some people don't even know that because they don't know how to do a financial statement. When you don't understand how to do a financial statement, then guess what? You're going to stay in the level of ignorance. Now you may be aware of it, but then the question is, how do I learn so that I can get to a level of mastery to help my family? Because if I'm willing to help my family, I understand I can't stay here. I'm aware. Now I have to start moving up this chain. I have to start learning. That's when you come to classes like what I'm doing. That's when you commit to books. That's when you go and do the necessary work that's going to help you start making better decisions for yourself and your family. That's why I'm all about building a legacy through real estate. Because it says a good man leave an inheritance for his children. Now, it's not just physical assets, but part of it is. But you have to realize there's a certain mindset that's going to help you not only get there, but keep it and then maintain it. And so that's why I'm so passionate at coming at this, because not only does I want to continue to help you, but it helps me to continue to remind me and to humble me and to ground me. God has given me a gift. God has blessed me and my family to be at a certain place in my life. So how do I put myself in position to help others and come along on this journey? So if you're that person and you want to rock with me, if you want to continue to go on this journey as I build out my real estate and my legacy real estate community, then come join me. But if not, keep watching. And I'm going to just drop all the dimes that God continue to plant on my heart to be able to give to you. But until then, in between time, I appreciate you for watching. Make sure if you're going to join us on Cash Flow Friday that you go to the link below. But other than that, make sure you catch us next Friday. Love you guys. Peace.